turn my phone off. I'll get a call. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Jack McCauley. I'm an inventor and engineer, and currently I teach at UC Berkeley. I teach electric vehicles, how they work, how the motors work, the batteries, all these things. I like environmental things. I'm not an environmentalist, though. I just like stuff that's efficient. So I have that gig there. We also built an institute on campus, myself and Paul Jacobs of Qualcomm, which is a makerspace. And this is the benefit of working with young people, before I launch into this, is that I learn stuff from them. Like, I'll give you an example. 15 years ago, when we were starting Oculus, the young guys, they're in their early 20s, bought these 3D printers. I had no idea what they were, right? Formerly, when we wanted to make a plastic model, we sent it out to a model shop. So now you have a model shop right on your desk. So that's what I learned from them. Some things I learn are useful and some, moderately useful, but I always try to listen to people. I worked with all young people, with a few exceptions. I was the oldest person at Oculus, oldest person at Activision, and one of the oldest persons at Electronic Arts. So let me get this started here. I'm gonna not really follow a script. I'm going to show you the slide deck, but I'm gonna talk a lot like I just did. Okay, this is ChatGPT. Jack McCauley is a well-known American inventor and engineer who has worked on a number of high-profile projects in the tech industry. He is perhaps best known for his work on the original Guitar Hero controller, which he designed while working at Red Octane. McCauley has also worked on projects for companies like Electronic Arts, Microsoft, and Oculus VR. He's regarded as a talented and innovative engineer, and so I'll stop there. That's true, but it's because of the people I worked with. I learn from people. Like, I'll watch how they do things, and I'll just copy it sometimes to see if it works. So it's not just me. And this is partially not right. That's ChatGPT. And there's my alma mater, Berkeley. Berkeley's a public school. It's not for rich people. I know that you have public schools in Estonia, but we don't. We have them. We have private schools too. But I went to Berkeley because I didn't have any money, and I got a scholarship too. So from the military, and it was a great school. And when I was there, I hated it. The place is too much work because my natural inclination is to slack, and there's no slacking there. You can't skip math classes. So I came back and I realized the gift it gave me, which was a good engineering mind. I already had that, but the education I got was first rate. And so now the two guys I founded Guitar Hero with, both of them are Berkeley grads. And one of them I didn't really get along with very well, but when I quit working, I retired 10 years ago, he calls me and goes, hey, there's a trustee position on campus, you want to try it? And yeah, so that's how it kind of went for me. I just know people. I didn't really do it at interviews or anything like that. So I designed the scrolling wheel and the mouse, of course the Guitar Hero stuff, and there's Oculus VR. Oculus started at my facility. I have a research facility. I sold it about 2 years ago. Started there. We filmed a Kickstarter video. It was crowdfunded. For PR, we did that. Actually, it was money from the founders, mostly. And we also got venture capital money. So we did it there. I built the Guitar Hero drum controller there, and the mouse, that's from the 80s. I didn't have the place in the 80s, but all of these things here were for connections I had from people and personal relationships. I wouldn't say that you're friends with the people you work with, not really. It's a little competitive, but it's just staying in touch with people. Like, I'll go into the next slide and show you. Okay, not to brag. I did work on feature films. I did, this is 43 years ago, 45 years ago, I wanted to be in entertainment, right? I wanted to be in art. I like art. So I was a technical person on Terminator 2, Dick Tracy, Edward Scissorhands. I was a technical contributor. I didn't work on the graphics. I worked on the audio stuff. We built a system custom system for him with Kodak Research where I was. And I mentioned Jacobs Hall. RAND Corporation is a research think tank, and Math and Science Research Institute. All of those things I got, those gigs I got through friends. It's not like, they run after me to chase me to join. It's just my friends, more or less. I love cars. I'm a complete car nut. I build cars. That silver and orange one, I finished that in 2010. And the orange one with the back opened up, I finished that in 2020. And the little yellow one there, that's a Fiat 500. I put a motorcycle engine in it. So I've got a 1400cc motorcycle engine with 200 horsepower. And it is blistering fast. It's scary. We had to redesign the entire suspension, and it doesn't have a chassis, it's a unibody, which means the shell of the car supports the car. But we had to modify all the suspension on it, and it's got a paddle shifter on it. I went crazy with it. But I wanted a car that looked like it came from the factory that way. And it does look like a factory car. It's just, it's smoking fast, so. These things are hobby things. I don't really get paid for that. That's just the stuff I like to do. Formerly, the research center, I had CNC machines and robotic controls and all this other stuff. It's all gone now. I got tired of doing it. Quite frankly, I'm getting over the hill here. And see that thing I'm holding up there? That's a thing for shooting down drones. I finished that in 2019. Because I saw these drones as a threat, a battlefield threat. You can fly one into someone, you put an explosive charge on it and fly it into them. I realized that back then. I said, there's got to be a way to deter them, and that's what I built. And actually, it's just a jammer. It does have some capabilities that are beyond jamming, but I take the signal away from the operator. He's trying to control it, and he loses the visual, and he loses control. It just sort of hovers, or in some cases, they fall. So I just a curious thing, I just decided to do it, and our staff and I did it. This is a calculator I built. Some of you may have seen this before. It's called Napier's Bones. I didn't invent it, I just made one. I thought it was really cool. So this thing can compute huge numbers, like 10 to the 19th, which is a gigantic number. And this is from 1600. And this was used for accounting. Like the king wants to know how much gold is in there. He calls the accountant in there, he puts the thing in, moves the bars around. It does cube roots and square roots, and it's really, really easy to use. You only have to know how to add to 10. And back at that point in time, a lot of people couldn't even do that. The literacy rate was pretty low, especially in England. So it does square roots, cube, multiplication, and division. Okay, I'm going to play this video. This is what I worked on. I didn't work on the visual part of it, but I'm going to try to explain where I'm going with this. So let me play this. This is Terminator 2. That's a render right there. That sword thing, that's a render. A render is what a computer does. It generates the images. Those are renders. Some of that's not, but most of it is. So this was done in the early 90s, like 91, 92, but it was started in 89. We started in 1989. It was 20 Sun workstations. The Sun is an extinct company. 20 Sun workstations running in parallel to render that, and it took 6 weeks. You can do that now on your phone in real time. Yeah. This is interesting. This here has the power of that system, those 20 Sun workstations inside of this. So I know this is a testing conference. I edited my deck to show you what we worked on as far as testware for various companies. In my job as a hardware engineer, I did software too, but if you're going to set something up at a factory, you have to build the test software and test systems for it, and then ship them to the factory and get it working in the factory on their assembly line. So I took this deck and edited it and added those things in there, and I'll show that to you in a minute. So this is a quad core Sun. There were 20 to 26 workstations running in parallel. So that technology you see there is currently used to render in video games. It's basically what it has, but it's much, much faster hardware. So I'll play this, and this is a game from 2023 compared to 1993. 30-year difference, right? See the difference in the contrast. This is unrecorded game. It's photoreal. It's really, really good. And this is in, when you write a video game, with a lot of exceptions, but generally if you're a small studio, you get a video game engine that you can lease. So this is Unity. There's a game engine. Right now there's Unreal and Unity. Where I work, we never use those because we don't want to pay the license fees. We wrote our own. So that's the difference. And the one on the right, 1993, I know that guy. He actually worked at Oculus. He wrote that. But he did this, he had to learn all the mathematics behind it. It's actually complicated mathematically to do these kinds of shading and rendering and texture mapping. It's mathematically complicated. It uses a branch of mathematics called linear algebra. And linear algebra is very close to what's being used in AI. It is linear algebra. They call it TP, or tensor processor, instead of graphics processing unit. But it's linear algebra. So I won't dig too deep into this, because when I do this slide, people get bored. So here's a benchmark for computer floating point operations, which are real numbers. Okay, they've got like 3.14159 is a real number. You want to multiply that times 2.655, for instance. That's a floating point operation. It has to be in this thing called floating point. And computers do not generally like floating point. They like integer mathematics, integers. So they don't do flop well, and it likes to do integers. 32 equals 4 times 8, so forth. So a floating point operation is used as an index to measure performance. This thing here, unbelievable, it is 2 teraflops, 2 trillion floating point operations per second. That's a huge number. If you got $1 starting right now for every second, right? At the end of 60 seconds, you have $60. End of an hour, you have 3,600. You know how long it would take you to get to 1 trillion? 31,000 years. They throw these numbers around like they're small numbers. They're not. They're gigantic numbers. This phone here can do 2 teraflops. That's amazing. It can't do it for very long. It gets warm. Back when computer graphics were starting, like CAD software. CAD is a way of making a mechanical drawing, for instance, on a computer. They were burdened by the fact that the computer inside the big desktop wasn't powerful enough. So they invented this thing called a coprocessor. This is the beginning of NVIDIA and computer graphics, this chip here. So this is an 8387. That came out in 89. And it could do 170,000 floating point operations per second. This is 2 trillion floating point operations per second. You need a floating point coprocessor and more or less to do AI. It has to be something like this, and they use what's known as a TP, or a tensor processor unit. So this is the sort of a scope of what. In 1990, we were at 170,000. That's what the 87. In 1999, we were 4 billion floating point operations per second. And then in 2000, when the PlayStation 2 came out, it was 6.2 billion floating point operations per second, on the cusp of generating photoreal graphics. NVIDIA is the leader in AI hardware right now, and they're literally about 20 minutes from where I live. They're by far away the leader, and technically. It's an interesting story is, I won't take too much of your time here, but this is an NVIDIA story. So on a display, let's say you have an LCD display, a liquid crystal display. They don't really make those anymore. They're more LED now. But at Oculus, we had a liquid crystal display. The little pixels that are in there, it takes time for them to open. and they're not all the same. Like some of the pixels don't open very slowly, and some of them open very quickly. You need to get a piece of hardware to time those, and there's a register for every pixel, a number for every pixel, its open and close time. And so that has to be written into the chip that controls the LCD controller, right? So Jensen Huang is the CEO of NVIDIA, and I didn't know him, my boss knew him, so we go over there, and they timed our pixels for us. So I didn't know that about displays at the time, that they have to have a timing register on them. But it's just a complicated thing, and so my point is we use LEDs on all further versions of Oculus because it's just easier to deal with. Okay, so most video games now use a GPU to create rich graphics in 2D and 3D. The graphics are a large amount of processing power to create effects in the video game. So it's used for shading, rendering, polygon rendering, texture maps, and so forth, colors. My argument is that if we didn't have video games and CAD, there would be no AI right now because they pushed the GPU development. They pushed the performance requirements out of it. And the mathematics and the technical part of AI is just using a GPU, is essentially what it is. So this is iPhone 14, I think. iPhone 14 Pro is 2 teraflops per second, 31,000 years. Amazing. And that's the Pro. You can look down the line there, you can see an iPhone 8 is 400 gigaflops per second. So 400 billion floating point operations per second. So this is the performance increase. So this one here, this is a year old, this slide here. This is 110 trillion floating point operations per second. This is mind-blowing. They do that with a massive parallel architecture. Everything's paralleled. It's not just one processor, there's multiple processors on there running. So AI is a branch of neural networks. You know what? There's a really, really, really good video on YouTube that explains it in layman's terms. It's brilliant. It's called StatQuest, StatQuest, and the guy knows his stuff. If you watch that, it'll like resonate with you. There's no math involved. It's really pretty simple stuff. He uses a layman's explanation for it. So neural nets have to be trained, right? You have to train them. So there's a training process, and that goes through backpropagation. That you train it, it examines its errors and feeds back into the neural net and then fixes the errors. Okay, so this is the manufacturing, since we're in a manufacturing thing. We had to build at Oculus and at the factory. We had it's a big operation. You know, it looked like it was a small company. It wasn't. There were 120 people in Irvine, California, down south, programmers and so forth like that. And then there was the China team and me in China. I was in China a lot doing this time. We have to design all the equipment, the test equipment in CAD, and then get the factory to produce it and test it. It's a huge amount of work. This thing right here is a test rig for testing a circuit board that goes on the mask. That thing right there is the mask. It goes like that. We had little LEDs all over it, little sensors. And then we would flash the sensors and had a camera opposing it so we could see which ones were flashing. From that, we could get the head rotation and depth and so forth. So that's what that machine is. And this is interesting. We also had a gyroscope. It was a 9DOF, they call it. It's a gyroscope, basically. So you could get the head turning and stuff like this. And we couldn't find, at the time we were kind of broke, we couldn't find a rotary table to calibrate the gyros. So I found this online. That's a turntable, and it was perfect. Your ear is very sensitive to pitch changes, and if this has any wow or flutter, which is pitch changes coming off the record, you're going to hear it. So it's perfect, because we had this, we took it apart, wrote a bunch of software. We basically indigenously built everything ourselves because there was no expertise there. And we're like the first company trying to do this. And as previously mentioned, this is a sensors, and so this is a 3D printed, it's SLA actually, excuse me, device, and those little sensors in there, you could put the camera in front of it, and then we would light those off, as I said, and you could tell the head position. That is, on your phone, you have a camera module. It's called a camera module. It's an integrated lens, optics, and a sensor. So this here is a camera module factory that was making camera modules for us. And they're actually in Korea. So I went there to see what they could do, and they were fine. Later on, we did it in China because it was just too difficult logistically to get the stuff back and forth. But people realize they have to have someone make the camera module. I was talking to someone about Apple. They designed their own camera modules. We didn't. We didn't have the expertise to do that. Apple designs their own camera modules. And somebody told me that they have 2 teams designing camera modules, and they're not talking to one another because they want to try to get the best one. That's what they told me. And that kind of makes sense what I know about Apple. I got interviewed by Steve Jobs. This was a long time ago. When Apple was in Cupertino, California, close to where I live. And I sent my resume, and I was like 22. I sent my resume to him, 21. And he says, okay, they say, okay, come in, he wants to talk to you. I walked in there, and he's standing in the door, and he goes, I can't use you. It's like, I drove all the way over here, and you tell me I can't. He was not easy to work with, apparently. And the other part of the story is that Wozniak, his partner, I know Wozniak, his partner who started Apple was Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, right? It's just the opposite. He's like the nicest guy. I think Steve is actually a caring person. He just can't express his, he doesn't know how to express himself very well when it comes to people. And he has that rap, but I don't think that's true. I think he is pretty good at it. It's just a demanding boss, I guess. But Apple, I couldn't work at Apple. I wouldn't last. I like working in entertainment and studios and stuff like that, and with artists. When I was with Electronic Arts, this was in 2010, we built a game for them, an exercise game, right? And I did all the hardware for it. So the thing is, it's so cost sensitive. The product is. If it's expensive, it ain't gonna move. It's just the way it is. So we have to get all the cost out of it. And Guitar Hero, the landed cost of our plastic guitar box was $8. A wireless guitar. It has a dongle, you plug it into a USB port, and you play the guitar, it's $8. So this other thing that for the Electronic Arts was not $8. It was a heart rate monitor you wore when you were exercising, right? So they ended up scrapping 33 million of them, burying them in landfill because it didn't sell, it was too expensive. And I saw it at a discount place. But this is like a lesson to me. It's like, okay, you gotta be the cheapest person out there. You gotta be the least expensive. I'm not selling into a luxury market like, a Rolex or something like that. So I had to be like super cost sensitive. And so when we're doing the pricing and stuff for components, China's amazingly cheap. I'll just tell you, I'm working on something right now trying to help someone with it. There's a chip in there. It's an integrated circuit. It has 16 pins. It means 16 connections. It's a penny in China. How do they do that? I mean, I don't understand how you do that. It's at 1 penny, and that's the scale of things there. So I'm like the cheap person. I do the stuff for as low cost. Oculus is different. The very first headset we built, which was Developer Kit 1, we built that for $150 US, landed cost. That means out of a shipping container, in a box. And we were making money. We sold 150,000 of those. No, 70,000, sorry. It was like 30 million or something like that US. It was pretty good. Because now we can pay salaries. So we're actually in the black. That means we're actually making money, which is very unusual for a hardware company. This made us a target for an acquisition because, hey, they're a hardware company, but they're making money, and they've got all this great buzz everywhere. It was all over. I didn't do any of that. My boss did that, but all the PR and everything, we were on shows on TV, at late night TV and stuff. And it just had a great buzz. The second developer kit we did was $350. That was our cost, and we sold it for $350. So we didn't make any money on it. So we were going to be in trouble really quickly. As a matter of fact, I predicted that if we didn't get acquired within a year, it'd be out of business, even with all the great buzz, because it's just so difficult and so costly. That's me, and that woman on my right there is the owner of the factory. She owned a huge, giant factory in China. She's a friend of mine. She did the Guitar Hero stuff too. This is the relationship thing, right? Her son, who I remember when she was pregnant with him, every year I let him come to my house, and he stays there for a couple weeks during a game developer conference, right? And that kind of thing has high value. Next time she's got something for me, she'll call me, and I'll sell chips to him or something. I don't know, whatever I need to do. But that's the test where we were working on for, I think that's Oculus. Yeah, it is. So we have to write all the tests. Her head engineer is the guy sitting down next to me, and that's her. She lives in Hong Kong, actually, but their factory was in southern China, down near the border. And it's an entire city block. It's gigantic. And how she ran that, she's amazing. She's just really good at business. And she can tell if she's going to make money at something. I can see her wheels turning when I'm working with her. It's like she's going, no, okay. Then she'll come back with a price, and then I got to negotiate with her. So we're going back and forth. She did the Guitar Hero stuff and a bunch of stuff for me. The Electronic Arts, previously mentioned here, the heart rate monitor that failed, she built that. She built a heart rate monitor for swimmers and wireless MP3 player for swimmers, and all kinds of stuff that I brought in there. Okay, so this is the Chinese, this is the team in China. And the one in the stripes is my admin, and then the guy to my right is a friend of mine, actually. And then there's the other guys there, too. So, yeah, this was everywhere in the culture. And I had nothing to do with this. This was all two guys at the company. One was 26, the other one's 32 at the time. Organized and did all the PR. We were on late night TV, as I mentioned, Jimmy Kimmel and all these other shows. And they did the whole thing. This got Mark Zuckerberg's attention because he thought that the thing really had traction. Socially it did. Commercially, not so sure, but that's what got his attention. And he comes in Irvine, Southern California. I'm down there, and he's coming in. I get off the elevator, and I think it was him. Yeah, goes in there, and then I'm in China, back in China, and my boss calls me and goes, guess what? He goes, you're going to be really, really rich. And I go, why is that? And he goes, because Facebook bought us. They're going to buy us. And so it was good. It was $3.2 billion, and there's 6 founders. But we lost a lawsuit. This is the problem with the United States. Our civil lawsuits, it's a disaster. Having a company, I have to be really, really worried about like copyright and stuff because they'll come after you. These lawyers and stuff. That's precisely what happened. So what happened actually was somebody at the company stole someone's source code, like the key to the product. It wasn't in the headset, it was just in a demo game. And they got wind of that. And the company got wind of that, and then they got $500 million of that, yeah. And so, yeah, that's the thing about doing business there. Is like, I'm doing something right now that involves an appliance. I've never done it before. It's a water purifier that's for your countertop, okay? And now I'm going like, it has heat. What if somebody gets scalded or spills it on themselves? It's like, this is the stuff you have to think about. And I've been sued multiple times. I got sued just in last February. I got sued then. I got sued in 2010. I got sued again before that. And it's just a game. It's really sad. And as an inventor, you really have to watch your P's and Q's. You have to make sure that you actually invented it, and because you can be accused of copying someone else's stuff, right? And so I'm very, very careful with copyright infringement and so forth. But I think this is my last slide, and then I'll take some questions. No, it isn't. Neural network. This is a neural network. And StatQuest on YouTube, if you want to get a really good tutorial, go there. It's really good. I'm sorry, I don't have the QR code for it now. So it has an input layer, hidden layer, and an output layer. And the output layer is a crisp result. It uses an algorithm which thickens these strands. It's like, think of it as a neural path and makes them thicker mathematically. And so that's done through a feedback mechanism in the net. And I mentioned the TPU. It's a processor, excuse me, at the time. The tensor processor unit, I mentioned that. And it's essential to a cloud-connected AI service that forms the backbone of most services. So for you to have like 20 GPUs in a rack, it's a little bit difficult. You're better off buying a service like ChatGPT, something like that. Okay, thank you. And I'll take some questions if you have any.
So, thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
And let's go. Lisa.
Hey, I'm Lisa, and I go around with a giant donut for unclear reasons.
My hearing is like 50% degraded. I'm sorry. I have to ask you to repeat.
I come within built-in amplification, so that's fine. A lot of the innovation that you talked about, particularly this incredible computing capability and parts of AI are being now treated as strategic goods. In other words, countries are trying to control who has access to them. The export bans on media chips being probably the biggest example. Do you think that's a policy that has any legs to stand on? And do you think it's implementable in any way?
Let me repeat your question.
Can countries and governments control how much of this innovation travels globally?
Let's hope not. My experience is that whenever the government, they were trying to regulate Facebook. I don't remember if you remember. You probably didn't hear about that. They were trying to control the information that Facebook is presenting and Twitter, now called X, to people. Whenever they get involved, I have a very dim view of governments in general, just the way I am, but they inevitably screw it up. I wish they'd just leave it alone and let the world take care of it on its own. We're people here, we can make choices. They don't need to make choices for us, if that's your question. The second thing is the disinformation that's possible with AI. That's a little scary. That's pretty scary stuff. The hellish images you see, like that are generated by AI, it's just weird stuff. It's like evil. So, can it be used for video games? I get asked this question. The answer is no. Could it author a plot in a video game? I suppose it could. Most video games are designed by experts. These are like the director of a movie. It's exactly the role they have, and they lay out the strategy, the role-playing, the social component, which is really, really important. It's less about visual stuff now. It's not that important. It's all the connections you get with people when you're playing. The only thing I can think it'd be used for is like, if you want to build, like Grand Theft Auto, I don't know if people know that game. I love that game, but GTA 5, 300 artists working on it to build the city. Why can't you just describe what it looks like? Say, make a building with broken windows and graffiti, and boom. That's where it's going to be useful. And all those people, those artists, they're doing it with AutoCAD and so forth, they're probably going to be out of a job. But the actual strategy and stuff, I don't see that working very well. So, and I hope I answered your question. Anyone else?
So is there? There is one. Yeah.
Hello. It was a very amazing presentation. When I grew up, Oculus Rift was a big part of my childhood because it was the first big thing that I saw, and it was so futuristic and it looked amazing. How did you get the idea, or where did the idea come from for Oculus Rift?
For Guitar Hero?
Oculus Rift.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Where did the idea for the Oculus headset come from?
That's a great, I'll tell you what happened. Again, relationship stuff. I work at Activision, and Greg Deutsch is the head attorney there. Every company in America has to have a board full of attorneys. So he's the head attorney there, and this guy comes in and who knows him and says, "Hey, do you know anybody that can build hardware?" And Greg goes, "Yeah, go talk to Jack." And so they show up. He shows up at my R&D facility, and he's got these goggles in his hand and an Apple laptop. And I go, "Oh no, here we go." They put him on, and it was really good. Am I enthusiastic about that kind of tech? Not really, but it was good. That's how it started. Just connections to people I know, and got referred. So the actual physical prototype was built by a guy at USC, a professor there. That's who built it. He had a reality lab that is on campus, and he did the basic optics cavity and lenses and all the other components. It was him that built it. And then another guy made a little prototype of it. But that's how it started, and they brought that in. All of the buzz and stuff, everyone's heard of it. It seems like all of the buzz was all indigenous. There's 2 guys in the company that did that whole thing, all the PR and stuff. I had nothing to do with that. I was a hardware guy. So did I expect them to sell? I didn't expect it to go anywhere. No, I thought it was too expensive and too difficult to get it off the ground. But I was wrong, thankfully. I was wrong about Guitar Hero too. I thought that thing was dumb when I first saw it. I saw it at a trade show. I got this guy that I know who knows another guy. He goes, "You got to see this thing." They took me into this room, and there's these 2 Taiwanese guys. They're two guys from Berkeley I mentioned earlier. And I saw it, and I thought, it's a dumb idea. Who wants to do that, right? But I was so wrong. Thank God. They took it. There used to be an electronics place. It's in the States called Fry's. You probably haven't heard of it, but it was a big outfit. And they took the game to Fry's and let people play it who walked in the door, and there was a line of people to play it. So right then I knew, okay, it's going to do pretty well. But we sold 64 million units. It was unheard of back then. We had container ships, like 32 container ships full of plastic guitars coming over from China at once. I didn't know that was going to happen. I mean, I'd be dishonest if I said I knew. I didn't. Other stuff I worked on it. It's all done pretty well, but some of it didn't go anywhere. If I see something that's not going to, I stop working on it and put it in a box and get rid of it, because I'll sit there and dwell on it. So I hope I answered your question. Okay. Anybody else?
I have a question. Over here. So we have now had quite a few versions of these VR glasses, different companies producing them. Mm-hmm. But they're still not like mainstream. So what do you think is going to be the price point or the quality criteria for it to go to mainstream, so that you get on an airplane and half of the people put them on?
Yeah. So a couple of problems with VR. One is it makes some people sick. I'm not one of them, but some people get dizzy from it, right? So 10% of the people that try it get dizzy. And so they're not going to be buying it. Perhaps the problem with, I know the sales numbers for Quest, it's not that good. Quest is Oculus's headset produced by Meta. It's just too expensive. At $350, $350 US dollars, if you're in Mexico, that's like $5,000 to buy it. You're not going to buy that, right? So you're kind of strapped into a North American market in continental Europe or someplace like that where they've got resources to buy it. It's just tough at that price point. It's got to be $60, $50. And when I'm in Mexico, I won't stay on this subject too long, but I'm wondering, these guys have Huawei phones and Samsung phones, and I know what they get paid. It's about $6 to $8 an hour, US dollars an hour, right? And I go, how do they afford it? Well, they have a phone plan. They put together a plan where you sort of rent the phone, kind of buy, rent phones, and you pay the payment plan and they can afford it. Well, why can't Meta do that? If they want to really produce it, why can't they come up with a business plan for making the phone and selling it at a fair price point? And they just have not. They're an advertising company. They sell ads. Meta's an ad company. That's where their revenue comes from. A good one, too. It's very subtle. Mentioned the AI thing. I think it's kind of evil that they're trying to peddle me stuff. I look at a reel on Facebook, all of a sudden I'm getting inundated with those kinds of reels. Very weird. They're an ad company, and that's how they make money. They're not a hardware company. Apple tried to produce a VR headset. I don't think it did very well. It's just really, really tough. It's $3,500. It's like a car. Costs as much as a car. It's just really hard to sell that stuff. I'll mention this, that the cost of an iPhone, let's say this is it's an iPhone 14 or whatever it is $1,000 in the US. Does anyone know what it costs them to make it? Does anyone want to take a stab at it? Pardon me? It's $12. Yeah, that's pretty good margin, isn't it? Apple knows how to do that. Besides all those services they make money on too. Yeah, $12. I would mention my story earlier about the chip for a penny. This is China, the scale of China. I don't know how you make money doing that, but I know how Apple does. You see, they're at a retail price point of $500, right? So they're a wholesale price of $500. So wholesale 500, retail is 1,000. You go to the Apple store, it's $1,000, $1,000 or whatever it is, and that's how they're making their money. Plus all the back end stuff, the iTunes and everything else. And I honestly don't know much about their business, but it seems to work for them. So
there's another question over here.
Hey, I would like to know how someone shifts from nuclear power engineer to working on the gaming industry.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Because I got a scholarship. Oh, that's an interesting question. So I applied for scholarship, right? And I got the scholarship, but they didn't have any slots for electrical engineers, just nuclear, because they needed nuclear engineers. So that's not what I studied, though. I studied electrical engineering and computer science, because when I got there, I just told them I'm not going to do it, you know? And they said, okay, well, we can use you anyways, and then I kind of drifted away from them. But it was for the Navy, U.S. Navy, so. But that's how, and then I just wanted to work in fun stuff. I didn't want to, I wouldn't last long at Apple. I would die of boredom. I have to be like doing new stuff all the time, so I wouldn't last there. I wouldn't last at Facebook either, Meta. Like, you're gonna be a Meta employee. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna work there. So that's how I got a scholarship. Anyone else?
So when was the last time you played a computer game?
On my phone, yeah, recently, yesterday. Candy Crush. And I like to gamble too. You know what's interesting? I won't spend too much time on this. I practice blackjack on my phone, and I have a house in Vegas. So I like to play cards, right? So I go in there, and I'm practicing. And I notice a pattern emerging with the game. There's a pattern to it, right? And doubling down on nines. I won't get into what that means, but that's what I was doing. These blackjack players are going, "You're an idiot." I was winning though. So I play blackjack on my phone. It's too bad you can't play for real money. I don't think it'd be legal. And I like stud and 5-card. I like poker. Yeah, but I don't play like Call of Duty anymore or anything like that. Thanks.
Yeah, one more.
You shared about many of your successes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us of a complete F-up or a failure?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Can you share a failure?
A story about Xbox?
Failure. Can you share a story about you failing?
Oh yeah, I played tons. I had 2 camera companies that went belly up. Yeah. I had one, there's a picture of it somewhere, just in the background there, but I had a GoPro, it was a camera company, it was a sports cam. You wore it on your helmet or on a wristband or whatever. And so we created a remote control for you. So you'd push a button and it would start and stop the camera, right? And my business partner was very seasoned, experienced businessman. Neither him or I did any calculations to see if we'd make any money on it. We're selling it for $32 retail. It cost us $8, so there's no margin in there, and you can't grow the company. So if I made it for $8 and I sold it for $32, that means I have $24, but I got to pay salaries, I got to pay the contract manufacturer. So we shut the business down, actually, even after going through all the prototypes, and we had production plasticking and retail packaging for it, and canned it because it was just financially, it wasn't going to work. And then I had another camera company called Lucid that was a stereo camera company that failed. And then many more. I kept getting in. My wife was like, "You're spending all our money. What are you doing?" And the same with Oculus. It's my money. I took my money out of the bank and I invested it at Oculus. And I have to explain to her, because like, she goes, "Why do you keep doing this?" I can't help myself. Any other questions?
Hi. Wait,
Hello.
sorry. You had such an interesting life, so much experience, and is there anything else that you would like to invent? Do you have a dream? Yes.
I'm working on something right now, actually. A water purifier, right? So 2 billion people don't have clean drinking water, including Latin America and Mexico. You cannot drink the tap water in Mexico. You will get sick, for sure. I think this country has good tap water, and the US does mostly. So this thing, if you have babies, like I have grandkids, right? It's like, if you have babies, and I'm on a well, which means there's a hole in the ground with a pump in it. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so I have to have a well. We come to find out there's bacteria in the wells, living down inside the well. E. coli and other bad bacteria is down there. So this thing is a new technology for creating absolutely pure water. It's 100% pure. And it doesn't use cartridges or reverse osmosis or anything like that, just a little bit of power. And so we started it, and here I go again, right? Can't help myself. We started it, and we got patents on it, and we're negotiating with a buyer right now for the business. And I brought in my friends to help me with it, sell it. And so, but that's what I'm working on. And no more after that, though, I promise.
So that's pretty far from computer games, yeah? So one last question.
Yeah, I actually noticed you had some guitars in the picture there. And I was wondering, you started to tell the story about the Guitar Hero. What was the inspiration behind that? Or did you play guitar or like?
Do I play guitar?
Yeah.
No. I got those as a gift. Those are signed guitars by artists.
Yeah.
And that I got, those are all Guitar Hero stuff. No, I don't play.
But what was inspiration behind that? Like to start doing Guitar Hero, or like if you don't play yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. There was already a guitar game. It was Japanese called Guitar Freaks. We just took their plastic guitars and reused them at first. It was not a good game. It's J-pop, which is it doesn't sound good. It doesn't. That was the problem with it. What we did, we recorded all the music in-house for Guitar Hero 1. It was all done in-house. We used a studio, but one of the musicians worked there. And because we couldn't get master tracks for the original songs, like you want to go to an artist like Metallica or whatever and say, "Hey, can you get your masters for Symphony of Destruction?" They won't do it. They wouldn't do it. They said, "No, we can't have them. That's our intellectual property." One artist who is an unusual guy, to put it mildly, he said, "This is genius." He was right. He knew instantly. He goes, "This thing's going to be wild." And we got his masters. That's, yeah. So that's Megadeth. And the guy, it's a whack job. But we got the masters, and it just took off, you know. And the songs sound pretty good. considering it's like a low budget, it was low budget, you know, we couldn't have any money to do that, to do it on scale, right? But we got acquired by Activision. We didn't have the resources. It was just two guys, brothers, and some other people at the company, maybe 15 or 20 people. That's too small to try to get something like that off the ground without being acquired. But there was several investors, 120 million and 60 million between the two brothers, and Activision got us for a steal. They stole it because we knew we had something on hand that we couldn't produce because we didn't have any money. And going to a venture capital person and saying, we need $100 million to make plastic guitars, they're going to go, no way. No way. We had sort of friends and family investors or people that they knew, the brothers knew, and myself. So I had no, you know, we don't know. No one knows what's going to happen. If they tell you that, they're wrong. So that's my camera company story.
Well, you accidentally might have inspired a lot of actual guitar players with that game. So.
Pardon me?
You might have actually inspired quite a lot of actual guitar players to pick up the real guitar with that game.
That's good. That's good. Because people go to us, they go, why don't you make a real instrument? Well, no one's going to want to play it. It's too hard, right? So that was the problem. It's like, we can't make a real instrument. It's a game controller. That's all it is, with a chip in it, game controller chip. So that's what we ended up with. But I should probably, I'm getting a hint here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jack, for all the inspiration.
Right on. Oh, wow.